Week 18 of this NFL season is a bit of a sticky situation for these Kansas City Chiefs. On the one hand, the 1 seed is wrapped up, and there are all sorts of players on this roster that us maybe too deep in the weeds fans have wanted to see all season long. On the other hand, well, guys, you can only rest so many players. There's only so many spots on an NFL roster, so there will be some starters that are exposed to playing time and injury in a completely meaningless game. But on that first hand, a lot of fun stuff possibly in the waiting for these Kansas City Chiefs and their fans in Week 18, so long as we get to see some players that we have wanted to see the entire season long. One of those players is Felix Anudike-Uzomah, the second-year defensive end, last year's first-round pick out of Kansas State, a player who plays the edge position, but you would be hard-pressed to find 10 out of 100 Chiefs fans probably that know that, because he has played so little football through the first 2 seasons of his career. I contend that I am feeling cautiously optimistic about FAU, if I could use the abbreviation here, while and whereas I have not been so optimistic before, and we're going to talk about why in this video. Now, as you know, I always try to bring you a source, some numbers, and an opinion. The first source we have here is from Arrowhead Pride. In an article titled Chiefs Felix Anudike-Uzomah showed progress with Week 17 sack, subtitled The Kansas City Chiefs defensive end second sack of the season could be more than just a career highlight. Written by Ron Kopp, once again from Arrowhead Pride. In this article, we get this. The Kansas City Chiefs are heading into the postseason with positive momentum on both sides of the ball, thanks to many players turning in their best performances as the games become more meaningful. This extends from the high-profile starters to the rotation players who want to make the most of each snap, such as second-year defensive end Felix Anudike-Uzomah, soon turning 23. The former first-round pick is under lots of pressure to, quote, look the part, end quote, every time he steps onto the field. Against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 17, Anudike-Uzomah popped off the screen as he earned a fourth-quarter sack, pushing his season total to 2.5. It was a play-action pass, Anudike-Uzomah recalled. While speaking to reporters on Wednesday, I tried to power him, then snatch him down and turn the edge. Then I came up with the sack. But the edge rusher didn't account for an important detail: his acceleration to finish the play. And if you go back and look at that sack, it really is a great job by FAU. He takes the corner and has the quarterback in his sights, and just like a cornerback closing on the ball, he makes that 10-yard sprint from his pivot point to the quarterback in a hurry and makes a very violent play. You're not supposed to say it in today's scrubbed clean world. You're not supposed to say it in the NFL that is currently, sort of traipsing about pretending to be what football was. But violent plays are important to a defense. And it was a play that looked pretty nasty. It wasn't the biggest hit in the world, but it was one of these things that, like a lion chasing a gazelle, you look at it, you saw the first couple steps, and you knew where this was going, right? It was that clear cut, that clean and dry, and that is something we have not seen at the professional level from FAU through nearly 2 full seasons of football. I've got some numbers to look at here. This is Felix Anudike-Uzomah's pre-draft measurables, and these are George Karlaftis's. George Karlaftis, that would be multiple Karlaftis's. So anyway, we have here FAU and Karlaftis, and I want to look at the numbers back and forth between the two, because Karlaftis looks like a tank on the football field, and FAU looks like an undersized defender. And I have said many times that I think FAU's ceiling is Mike Danna. I still pretty much believe that, and we haven't even really seen Mike Danna out of FAU yet. But let's look at some of the measurables to look at the physical ceiling versus what I think the football ceiling is, because it's always possible that you turn the edge on someone, pun not necessarily intended, and they have a football awakening. You're seeing it this year, for example, with Sam Darnold. Like, it's not the same position, it's just one player, but you get what I'm saying there. Every once in a while, there is a player for whom that light goes on. FAU is undersized, but is he really that undersized? Well, he's 6'3" compared to George Karlaftis at 6'4". His hands are 9 5/8 inches compared to Karlaftis's 10 1/4. But we're told that he's more of an athlete. Well, let's look at that. He had a 4.73 40 compared to George Karlaftis's 4.77, just 5/100ths of a second faster than the power defensive end George Karlaftis. George Karlaftis had a 38-inch vertical that is 93rd percentile. That's a good vertical for a defensive end. Just 4 inches shorter, FAU's at 34 inches, but that is the 60th percentile. They both have elite 3-cone drills, with Karlaftis having a 6.78, a 6.78 3-cone drill at 266 pounds. FAU with a 6.94 at 255 pounds. He is 11 pounds lighter, and he does not jump as high or run as fast in the 3-cone drill as George Karlaftis. So far, we've got kind of an athletic edge on George Karlaftis. He has about an inch long, FAU has about an inch longer arms than George Karlaftis, and the shuttle time of 4.34 is slightly better than Karlaftis' 4.36. He has a better broad jump, 91st percentile with 124 inches, versus Karlaftis' 121. He did not do the bench press to compare with George's 21 reps. 21 reps, not the greatest number. Now, here's the thing. They're not terribly different sizes of man. George Karlaftis has proven to be a much more dependable football player through his 3 seasons now in the NFL than has FAU through 2. But guys, as Ron Kopp said in that article, that sack was something different. That was not an accidental sack. That was not an offensive tackle didn't get off the ball sack. That was nastiness. That was unbridled rage with which he got to the quarterback on that play. So I don't think I'm alone in saying right now that anything the Kansas City Chiefs get out of FAU is kind of a bonus. After the rookie season that he had, I kind of wrote off whether or not FAU would be a productive member of the Kansas City Chiefs. I did not see him after that season. He never even flashed the ability to be a starter. normally, even when a guy needs a little bit of time to develop into a starter, they will flash that ability. I never saw it his rookie season. There is an article from Fansided written by Cody Williams after the Panthers game, titled "4 Kansas City Chiefs Who Should Be Benched or Fired After the Panthers Scare," subtitled "Not the Finest Moment for the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday in Carolina." And articles like this, if we're going to be fair, are not the finest moment for Kansas City Chiefs fans. But highlighted in that article, defensive end Felix Anudike-Uzomah should take a backseat to JoeH. As is the case with any NFL defense, we see Steve Spagnuolo rotate his pass rushers on the edge routinely, and while George Karlaftis has not totally lived up to his first-round draft status, I kind of think he has, he and veteran Mike Danna have earned their keep as the starters in that rotation. The depth, however, is a bit confusing. Much like Karlaftis' former first-round pick, Felix Anudike-Uzomah has not looked the part of where he was drafted throughout his career to this point. While he's ostensibly a backup who only played 12 snaps for the Chiefs on Sunday, he was a virtual non-factor as a rusher and made little noise in the game as a whole. That's even more frustrating when considering the trade deadline acquisition of JoeH, who played only 11 snaps. All of them came as a pass rusher, and perhaps he should merely be used situationally in that regard. But it's hard to justify having someone as ineffective as Anudike-Uzomah has been off the edge with how high upside Uche has proven to be. That's why the Chiefs acquired him, but they're keeping the car in the garage. It might be tough to pull back on Anudike-Uzomah, but it seems worth it to get the best out of the Kansas City defense. The author of this article was not alone at that time. And who's to say that he's alone now? Right? I think that there are still plenty of people clamoring for JoeH to get some type of actual look on a Sunday on the football field to see if there is something that can be salvaged from the trade that was made to acquire him. I don't think many fans are offering that same condolence for FAU. And we may have seen the finest moment thus far of FAU's career with that sack against the Steelers. It is an interesting idea that the Chiefs are going into this final game and could feature FAU maybe exclusively at one of the edge spots. He's going to play. He's going to play extensively. He should. He is, for, lack of a better term, not terribly important to the Chiefs in the playoffs. So the article from Arrowhead Pride from Ron Kopp involved a very critical detail for this. FAU is still very young. FAU is right now the age that a lot of players are coming out in the draft. FAU would not be the oldest player in this upcoming NFL draft, and he was drafted 2 seasons ago. Maybe it's still in there. Maybe FAU still has potential. Maybe FAU can be reclaimed. I stand by my opinion that right now, should the Chiefs get anything out of FAU, it is a win for the organization. Not because anything out of the 32nd overall pick would be a win, but because I think at this point, the general consensus on Felix Anudike-Uzomah is bust. If he can somehow not be considered a complete bust, it will be massive for this organization. And we will see if that is the case, if that is a possibility in the Week 18 matchup against the Denver Broncos. If FAU is able to get on the field and create havoc, create chaos, make drama for the Denver Broncos, if he is able to do that, then maybe he has a spot in next year's defensive line rotation. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on the channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And I hope to have you back for the next one.